Nityananda Prabhu was in such a state of ecstatic love. Then he saw Lord Chaitanya. Nityananda Prabhu, he appeared in this world for one single purpose: to assist Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes. He took his birth in Ekachakra. When he was 12 years old, he left home. Why? To assist Lord Chaitanya in his pastimes. For 20 years, he traveled to holy places and ultimately came to Vrindavan, just waiting for Lord Chaitanya to call him. And now Nityananda's Prabhu is about 32 years old. And Lord Chaitanya, it's the first time he's seeing him. Nityananda Prabhu just gazed at Lord Chaitanya. All of his senses were completely absorbed in experiencing Lord Chaitanya's beauty, his love, his mercy. Lord Chaitanya told Srivas to sing a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srivas sang a beautiful verse about Krishna and the cowherd boys with their cows coming back to Brajbhumi from the pasture grounds, describing all the beautiful ornaments that Krishna's wearing, and his smile and his lotus eyes and his peacock feathers and all his friends. And when Nityananda Prabhu heard this and gazing upon Mahaprabhu, he just fell to the ground unconscious. Lord Chaitanya told Srivas, go on reciting these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. He did that. And eventually Nityananda Prabhu, he came back to consciousness. And he and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Gauranga, they embraced and began to dance. At certain times, Nityananda Prabhu was unconscious and Lord Chaitanya was holding him on his lap. Gadadhar Pandit, he was saying, everything is now reversed. Ananta Shesha is supposed to be holding Vishnu on his lap, but now Vishnu is holding Ananta Shesha on his lap. And this was the first meeting of Gaur Nitai. And the next day they performed the Vyas Puja in the house of Srivas. And because of time, we'll just tell a few leelas. Yesterday I spoke something about the deliverance of Jagaya and Madhai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Haridas Thakur one day and Nityananda Prabhu that you should go to every person without discriminating who is fit and who is not fit and give them this simple message. Chant the names of Krishna. Worship Krishna. Speak about Krishna. Krishna's your mother. Krishna's your father. Krishna's the treasure, the wealth of your life. Krishna is your life and soul. Give everyone this simple message and then come back each night and report to me about your activities. So Thakur Haridas and Nityananda Prabhu were going to everyone's houses. And for those who were very pious people, they were so blessed and they started to chant the names of Krishna and they were so happy. It's interesting that Nityananda Prabhu, who was Balaram himself, who was the most magnanimous, munificent, servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For those 32 years and 20 years of traveling, he never actually preached, because he was waiting for the order of Lord Gauranga. All those years of traveling and traveling, he was doing his sadhana, but he did not preach the Sankirtan movement because he wanted all credit to be given to Gauranga. His life, his soul, his everything was only to give glory to Lord Gauranga. But after he got this instruction, how he preached, how he went house to house, how the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth, the All-Powerful, was going with the sincerest humility. He would put straw between his teeth. He would bow down to the feet of even sinful people, what to speak of pious people, and beg them to follow this simple message of Lord Gauranga. Some people accepted, but there were those who were not allowed in Srivasa's house, who were very proud, and they were very angry. These are thieves. They're coming to our houses just to see what's inside so they could steal from us. Beat them, arrest them, reject them. And Nityananda Prabhu would just bow down. He would prostrate to these people. Whatever you say is all right, but please chant Krishna's names. And ultimately one day they met Jagai and Madhai. They were so vicious. They would burn people's houses down. They would rape, they would murder, they would rob, they would kill, they would eat beef and drink wine every day. And nothing could stop them. Even the government officials were afraid of Jagai and Madhai. And eventually, Nityananda Prabhu, he begged them, please chant Krishna's names. And they were so upset. This was the ultimate insult to Jagai and Madhai, that some avadut is telling them to chant Krishna's names. Like he knows better than me. Beat them! Jagai and Madhai wanted to beat up Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas. So here we have Balaram. We know the story when Balaram went to Hastinapur and the entire Kuru army came. Bhishma, Drona, greatest warrior, the whole armies, the whole dynasty, they came to greet him. And somehow they did not give proper respect to Krishna. So Balaram took his plow and hit it on the ground, and the whole Hastinapur separated from the earth. And Balaram said, because you have insulted Krishna, you see what I will do to you. And he was about to destroy all of them and throw the whole kingdom into the Ganga. And they all, Balaram, please, we're sorry, we worship Krishna. And we only said this because we wanted to see your pastime of getting angry. So this is Balaram with all his, Mahavishnu is an expansion of Balaram. All he does is go one inhalation for a second. And the entire cosmic manifestation is destroyed. So what is Jagai and Madhai to Mahavishnu? But just to show mercy to them, Nityananda and Haridas turned their backs and ran away. And Jagai and Madhai chasing, and Nityananda Prabhu's running, and Haridas is running, and Nityananda is telling Haridas, we better run faster, they're catching up, and Nityananda Prabhu tells Haridas that you were beaten in 22 marketplaces, and you forgave those people, and you gave them your mercy, so you better pray to Krishna to help us today. And Nityananda and Haridas Thakur said to Nityananda that Krishna saved me then, but now I'm with such a crazy person. He's going to these dacoits, Jagai and Madhai, and asking him to speak today. I think I'll end my life. And Nityananda Prabhu said, why are you calling me a crazy person? It's Gauranga. He's the crazy person. He's the madman. Who has ever heard in history where somebody, a Brahmin like this, Lord Gauranga, he's taking like the role of a king, ordering us to go to every town, to every house, to every ghat, to every store, and give them his message. It's this Gauranga who's a madman. He's the one who's responsible. And they were laughing and running. And meanwhile, Jagai and Madhai were they wanted to kill them. Right behind them. And they were running in such a way that Jagai and Madhai was always right behind them. And they just couldn't catch them. And then they sped up. They ran faster and faster and faster. And Jagai and Madhai were quite fat, so they couldn't keep up. So finally, Jagai and Madhai just started beating each other because they couldn't catch them. They had to beat someone. They were just vicious, cruel. And a few days later, Nityananda Prabhu found them and came up to them again. So please take the name of Krishna. And Madhai and Jagai looked. What is your name? Where are you from? And Nityananda smiled and said, I am Avadut. Madhai, so angry, picked up a clay pot and boom, smashed it with all his strength on Nityananda's head. Nityananda began to bleed. Blood was covering his face, it went on his clothes. And he was standing between Jagai and Madhai, just praying. I don't mind what you do to me, but it breaks my heart to see you in such a condition. Take the name of Krishna and be happy. And Madhai was so angry. He was about to hit Nityananda again, and Jagai stopped him. And some of the people ran and told Lord Chaitanya, who is humble like a blade of grass, respectful to everyone. But when his devotee was being abused like this, Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya came running to that place. His eyes, Prabhupada said, were like red coals. He cried, Chakra, Chakra. And the Sudarshan Chakra appeared right before Jagai and Madhai. And Mahaprabhu's eyes were so angry, gazing, glowing with anger on Jagai and Madhai. And they became, for the first time of their lives, they were scared. They knew death personified is before us. And Nityananda Prabhu is calling out to Lord Chaitanya with all his heart, please, if I've ever done any pious activities, if I've ever done any devotional service that has pleased you, I will transfer all of that for one benediction. Forgive them. Give them Krishna. Then Nityananda Prabhu said, Jagai saved my life. He stopped Madhai from hitting me. And as soon as he said that, Lord Chaitanya became so happy. he became blissful. He embraced Jagai. You protected my Nityananda Prabhu for doing this. I give you ecstatic love for Krishna at this moment. And with the embrace, Jagai, his heart became totally purified, and ecstatic prema awakened, and he fell to the ground. And then Lord Chaitanya, he woke him up and manifested a four-arm form. And then Lord Chaitanya placed his lotus foot on Jagai's heart. And Madhai, seeing this, he became transformed. He said, please give me the same mercy. You have offended Nityananda Prabhu. Only Nityananda Prabhu can protect you. So he fell at the feet of Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu picked him up and embraced him and offered him to Lord Chaitanya. And from that day on, Jagai and Madhai were completely purified. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, they just told, don't commit any more sins, associate with devotees, and chant the holy names of Krishna. One time, Sachi Mata, she loved Nityananda Prabhu just like her own son. One time she told Lord Gauranga, I had a very mysterious dream right at the end of the night. I had this dream where Nityananda and you were on the altar with my deities of Krishna and Balaram. And you were both like little children. And Nityananda took the deity of Krishna off the altar, and you took the deity of Balaram off the altar, and Krishna and Balaram were chastising you. Who are you to take us off the altar? All these sweets, all this sandesh, all of these prasad, or the bhoga that's being offered is for us. Who are you to take it from us? And you were fighting over the sweet balls. And Balaram said to Nityananda, my Lord is Krishna. He's the proprietor of everything that exists. He will punish you for taking his property. And then Nityananda Prabhu said to Balaram, my Lord is Gauranga. And your days of being cowherd boys and stealing butter and sweets are finished. Now we are Brahman, and I have no fear of you. Who is Krishna? My Lord is Gauranga. And they're arguing. And then Nityananda Prabhu started crying out to Sachi, feed me, Sachi, feed me. And then I woke up. And Lord Chaitanya said, I think we should invite Nityananda Prabhu for prasad today. Sachi said, yes, let us do that. I will cook. So Lord Chaitanya went to Nityananda Prabhu. He was staying at Srivas Thakur's house. He said, Sachi has cooked for you, but please behave properly. And Nityananda Prabhu said to Lord Gauranga that because you don't behave properly, therefore you're thinking, I don't behave properly. You should behave properly. And then they left. And then they went in and they sat down for prasad, and Sachimata came out with the pots and served them. And then she went back into the room to get another preparation. When she came out, instead of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, she saw two little tiny children. One had a white complexion, one had a dark monsoon rain cloud complexion. And they both had 4 arms. And they looked so beautiful. And they didn't have any clothes on. And when Sachi saw this, she went into ecstasy and fainted. And the pots that were in her hand just fell to the floor and all spilled out. And then Lord Chaitanya got up from there, and he picked up Sachi Devi and said, Sachi Devi, what happened to you? Why did you fall down like that and drop the pots? And Sachi couldn't say a word. She just went into her private room and just cried in ecstatic motherly love. Lord Chaitanya, when he took sannyas, he told Nitai that we have come to this world to deliver the fallen souls. But just like a doctor who comes with medicine to heal a patient, but now I see that the medicine we have come with is making the patients even worse. The reason he was saying that is because some of the very, very proud Brahmins of Navadvip, they were threatening to beat Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya, I will shave my head and I will take sannyas. And then when I go begging at their doors, they will offer me respect, and then they will be delivered. When Lord Chaitanya spoke this to Nityananda Prabhu, his heart was so broken. The only thing he could say is, please discuss this with other devotees. And then Nityananda Prabhu went to a secluded place and was thinking, what will happen to the soft heart of Sachi Mata when he does this? After he leaves home forever as a sannyasi, how will Sachi Mata live? What suffering she will endure? And thinking in that way, Nityananda Prabhu wept. After Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and went to Navadvip, Lord Chaitanya told Nityananda Prabhu, you should go to Bengal. You should go to Bengal and you should preach there. You should give this message to everyone. The people that I cannot reach because I'm a sannyasi and it's not appropriate for me to be, you should go to those people and go to those places. Reach to the most fallen. So when Nityananda Prabhu was leaving Puri to go to Bengal, he took with him some of his very close associates like Abhiram Thakur, Udaran Thakur, Gadadhar Das, Dhananjay. And they left Puri having kirtan. Such a kirtan. They were so immersed in their kirtan that they didn't know where they were going. They were just chanting and dancing. And after some days, they asked someone, which is the way to the Ganga, to Bengal. And the person says, you're going in the wrong direction. The road is like 5 miles away that leads in that direction. So they smiled and they laughed, and then they continued the kirtan and they went that direction, and they chanted and they chanted and they danced. And Abhiram Thakur, sometimes in the mood of a cowherd boy, he would stand playing a flute for like 8 hours, and everybody just danced around him. This is the type of kirtans they would do in those days. But it wasn't artificial, it was from the heart. And after some time, they asked somewhere else, where is the road to Bengal? They said, oh, you're going the wrong direction. It's 20 miles this way. So they had no idea where they were going. They were just chanting and dancing, and somehow or other, they came to the house of Raghava Pandit in Panihati, on the banks of the river Ganga. And there was a festival of kirtan. Nityananda Prabhu, he asked everyone to chant. There were 3 brothers who were excellent kirtan singers that Lord Nityananda would love to take with him. There was Madhava Ghosh, Govinda Ghosh, and Vasudev Ghosh. And they were cowherd boys from Vrindavan, and they would sing the beautiful mellows of Vrindavan. So Madhava Ghosh began to sing, and Nityananda Prabhu induced everyone to dance. How he did it. This is an extraordinary pastime that no one can understand, but we can appreciate. Nityananda Prabhu, his Shakti, he was sharing so freely with everyone. Whoever he looked at, that person would overflood with Premananda, with the ecstasy of Prem. As soon as he would just glance at somebody, that person would start crying, their limbs were trembling, their hairs were standing on end, and they were dancing madly. What type of kirtan? He'd glance at somebody, and they would be so out of this world, in the spiritual world of Goloka and the ecstasy of love, they'd dance up a tree. One of the devotees. And then he danced on a branch of the tree. And then he danced on the twigs of the tree. And then he was dancing on the leaves of the tree. And he didn't fall. And others were climbing trees and jumping from the top of the highest trees and saying, I'm a cowherd boy. And he just keep dancing. One at a time, he was glancing at everyone. Sometimes there was a line of many people. By Krishna's grace, my voice is finished right on time. Should I try to finish the story? There'd be a line of devotees, and Nityananda Prabhu would glance like this, and each one would fall down like this. Vrindavan Das Tagore said it was like a row of banana trees in a huge windstorm. They were just all falling down in ecstatic love. They did an Abhishek for Nityananda Prabhu, and he was sitting on his chair, and he was just looking at people, and his glance was infusing them with his love. This kirtan, no one ate any food. No one drank any water. No one slept for a moment, because they were so immersed in chanting and ecstatically